afternoon, good morning. Welcome to After Dark Paranormal Quest, the first ever audio and visual. It's been a while. Well, it's been a while getting to this point. I've had to do it in my own apartment because the fact is that the office space that I'm looking at taking is going to take a while to get kitted out, sorted out. And yes, I thought I need to practice basically on here and just to see how things go. These headphones aren't great. I'd rather listen to my own voice instead of hearing it through there. It's weird. Yeah, I need to learn. I need to learn how to do it primarily. And what better way to do it than do it in your front room? I've got all my lighting, all my sound, all my camera angles. Got you. I love it. Ooh, giddy. Yeah, this is episode 13, so welcome back. First ever video. Hopefully not the last. And I've got the fan on, so you might be able to hear the fan in the background. It's literally because it's absolute sauna. I think it's like 20 degrees outside, or more than 20. It's a warm apartment in general. So it's not that I'm nervous, because I might be a bit nervous. But it's more to the fact it's absolutely scorching in here. You might see Max, my cat, jump up and come and cuddle. It's just a way to welcome Max to the world. You'll see it, he's asleep on the bed at the moment, so you might not see it, but he'll probably keep hearing my voice over time and think, what's he doing? And he will come in. But either way, welcome back. Episode 13. And this is my first ever visual as well. Gotta admit, I'm excited about it, but nervous at the same time. There's a few points I need to cover on this episode that I want to cover on this episode, and also a few questions that have been sent in last week, which are now going to be on this episode now. So fingers crossed, everything goes smooth, like I'm hoping. But yeah, I want to start off. Main thing. Wow. Ghost adventures. Home visits. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I'm to be honest with you, I preferred the first episode to the second one. One thing I don't understand though is why Zach is not actually at the location and he's doing it remotely. I'm not too sure about that. That does kind of go back to pretty much what I was mentioning before regarding a girl band. That sounds weird. A girl band or any kind of band getting together and there's more than one. You have that sole main singer or that sole male actor, for example. And I think maybe Ghost Adventures have realised that maybe having Zach as the forefront of Ghost Adventures is not the way forward, because Aaron and Billy and now the new one Lauren are going to be just as much loved as Zach on screen. So it's like they've taken Zach back and thought, no, it's not your show, Zach, it's everyone else's as well. And they might have done it for that reason, but the home visits, I was really happy with what I saw. First episode, and I wrote it down here. The first episode was it was called Long Beach, Crisis at Long Beach. I mean, I've wrote my stuff down here that I need to talk about, but yeah, Crisis at Long Beach. And I thought, when I put it on, I thought, I've been giddy about this for a while. First thing, looking at the actual footage, it was recorded pre-pandemic, in the pandemic, and it was Christmas time. So they've known about this Ghost Adventures for over 6 months. Oh, why don't we know about it? God. They've known about it for a while, and they've kept tight-lipped about it. And, yeah, there's only 2 episodes. Maybe there might have been more out, I'm not too sure. They've not mentioned anything again, but I suppose you've got to be tight-lipped in that kind of scenario. But the Crisis at Long Beach, that voice they got, to me it sounded like in Latin, a Latin reply to when Zach did a Latin prayer over the mics remotely to the property. And it sounded like an old woman in a Latin reply back. I played it 3 or 4 times and I couldn't figure it out, I couldn't match it up. But it did sound very Latin and creepy as fuck. When I heard it, I was like, when I hear something that I'm like, when I'm watching Ghost Adventures, for example, and I hear something, I'm like, and it's really extra extraordinary and just so super cool. And I was like, "Ooh, God, I've got to play that back, And I must have played it about 5-6 times. I couldn't figure out exactly what it said, but it got me excited to keep playing it back to try and figure it out. It was a mega, mega capture, and I really enjoyed the full episode in general. The episode in general, episode 1 of this, was recorded in such a different way. Of course, number one, Zach wasn't actually there on the investigation, he was remotely there, which I still find a bit bizarre, but that's the route they want to go down. It's up to them. And then secondly, the angles, and there was actually doing more of a interview kind of thing. So when something came on and happened on screen, Aaron would then come on the screen and explain like quickly why it happened and what happened. I've never seen Ghost Adventures ever do that before. I'm not too sure why they've gone that route, but in all fairness, it fitted well. The thing with Ghost Adventures, they're always 10 steps ahead in everything, whether it's technology or just in general their performance on screen. And when they do catch the evidence that's required, they edit it in such a way where the general public really enjoy watching it. No matter what, they do it well, but they have a team behind them that pays and does it for them. I enjoy watching. I think I've watched every episode now. Every episode since episode 1 to episode 20 I'm at, and then there's also spare ones as well, like extra ones, like Ghost Adventures the Extra and Aftershocks and stuff like that. There's loads on. Discovery's full of them. But I watch absolutely every single one of them, and I still, from the first season to season 20, are engrossed in how they do it and what they do and the thing that they bring to the paranormal field. I believe, hand on heart, that Ghost Adventures, what they bring to the paranormal field, if anything, gives it more substantial class, knowing that there is definitely something out there, life definitely exists after death, and if you go to the right location at the right time, with the right technology and the right team, you will pick up something and it will be a great night. They proved that, and they've been running for years. You come across other teams that have been running as well, but the evidence is just as good as Ghost Adventures, but I feel it's not as portrayed as good on screen. It's my personal opinion, but watching the episodes, I mean the first one was Crisis at Long Beach and the second one was Ellington House. The first one in my eyes was the best one. Second one was great, don't get me wrong. A lot of motion lights that they've got was involved more on the evidence captured. But that voice that we picked up after the Latin prayer that was read out remotely by Zach on episode 1 sent the EBGBs down my spine. It was a mega capture in every way, shape and form. And you can't really grumble at that. Billy is fantastic. I think he's really fitted into the team really well. But I think there was the greatest moments when Lauren walked back into the room and Aaron didn't see her. So Lauren walked back down from upstairs. She was in a separate bedroom. She walked down the stairs. I'm sorry if you've not seen it yet, but I'll give a tiny bit away. And she walked back down the stairs because Zach coordinates what's going on in the investigation remotely, which again, I still find that weird. If he's not going to be there, just not be there. It's one of those. There's something not quite right about that. Excuse me. And Lauren comes back down the stairs and Aaron is in the front room just getting off the couch but didn't see Lauren behind him. And he jumps and he swore and little things like that make me giggle. I do it to this day. When Brett's in this little situation where he didn't want to be in, I'll give him a little nudge or a little boo and he jumps out of his skin. It just makes it more worthwhile. It's just entertainment at the end of the day. More for me than anything else. But that was a funny moment. But overall I think Ghost Adventures they've done really well with this. I hope and pray that they still keep doing it, because I always say in the paranormal field that a gem will be captured in someone's house. When someone passes or someone dies, unfortunately, or even if someone's murdered, the 9 times out of 10, the most time they've spent anywhere is probably their own home. So why not haunt their own home, or haunt around their home regarding the location. So, in all fairness, I think there's a big kettle of fish to open and explore regarding Ghost Adventures doing this. And that kind of explains why they've only done 2 episodes. Just to see how it goes, see what figures they get back in. If it's really high, they might push a bit more. Looking at the recordings, they've recorded this Christmas time just gone. Might even be last year, because it was in pandemic last year as well. So it could have been any one of them. If that's the case, they've had a while to do this, and yet they've only done 2 episodes. Is that because they've taken so long to try and find the right people, the right location? Or is that because they want to test the water and dip the toe in the water and see how it goes? I don't know. Again, I'm not too sure on that, but I do want to mention one thing. They have got a EVP recorder that I pray one day that I will own, we will own as a team and a unit, and that maybe we can actually capture the kind of EVPs that they capture. Now, I use an Olympus at the moment in time. I've used this Olympus model for over nearly 2 years now. Never had no issues with it. Very sensitive mic, and it does capture the EVPs when they're there. But there's also that possibility in the back of your head. What doesn't it capture? What does it miss? What am I not hearing personally? Because when I do listen back to my EVPs, I do hear ever so slightly certain voices, but they're that minute. There's no way I can really put it on the final episode, but I can clearly hear them in my ear. Is that the EVP recorder that I'm using just not being powerful enough to capture them? Well, they use the Panasonic RR Romeo dash D60 or D600. It's an EVP recorder that's been around for over 20 years, believe it or not. A very old type of EVP recorder. Now, it was made in Japan, like most stuff now, generally now still is made in Japan. But this was made in Japan. It was banned in Japan after the first year of it being made because a lot of people were reporting that there was hearing voices on the recorder, yet there was no one there. So after hearing all these occurrences and all these reports, Panasonic decided to do 2 things after a year. Number 1, stop making it, and number 2, keep it on the hush-hush. Because they realised the EVP recorder was a bit too sensitive for what it should be. But that in turn has made this EVP recorder hellishly expensive to buy and very minute to capture. To get older one nowadays is few and far between. And the prices are ranging from £3,000 onwards. I've seen them near enough £4,000 on eBay, which is absolutely ridiculous. But they use one, Ghost Adventures. I want one. I really want one because a few of the teams that I follow also have the same EVP recorder, and these are like rocking horse shit. To get hold of one is hard. You do see them on eBay, but then do you trust spending £4,000 on eBay for an EVP recorder? Something that fits in your hand? Personally, no. But other people may have gone that route and got one. And you see it all the time, but the evidence that these EVP recorders pick up, very, very substantial, and it's just made me think even more. Oh, I'd love one. I want one. But I don't think I'll ever get one. Maybe one day, but hey ho. So, going from Ghost Adventures, and their episode's been absolutely phenomenal and very impressive. Very, very impressive. We have got a massive location coming end of this week, so I'm recording this now. Friday. Recording this now Friday. It will be uploaded Sunday. But I've got an investigation next week in Accrington. Now, if you're a further afield supporter and watcher of this podcast, Accrington is in England. It's probably about 2 hours away from where we're located now, given to depending on traffic. And it's pretty much a half-slash prison entwined with courts, and a massive building in itself. It's a huge location, and we've got this location from 8 PM on a night till 8 AM in the morning. So we've got it for 12 hours. Now, this prison slash courts, when we call it, it's got a hell of a lot of cells, a lot more than what Gainsborough ever had. I think, I'm hoping. And I think it's got over 10 cells. and it's got all the courts entwined above it. So you've got the cells underground, then you've got the courts on top. And they've done this like when crime got really rife and the police service just wasn't strong enough to cope with it. They entwined the courts with the cells so they can get the people captured, put in the cells, straight to court, straight to prison. That's pretty much the mentality of what the English wanted to do. I think it failed in general from start to finish, because I don't think the government kind of realised how many people would be going through the doors, and with crime being rife and poverty being very low, they just didn't have the service and the men to really keep on top of it. So we are going to be visiting this location. I've been wanting this location for over a year. One of the locations that's always been on my list and a tick in the box. But more importantly, I've seen footage there that substantiates why we want to go there. Now, the footage I've seen, the cell doors have been physically moved, and there's been a locked off camera there, and these cell doors are, of course, they're steel, heavy doors, and they've been physically opened and closed and slammed. And it's been captured on film. Things have been moving in the courts upstairs, so one team went there and they had a tripod there with a camera on top, and they'd left it in one courtroom. I apologise if you heard that bang. The one courtroom, and as he's gone out to hear a noise, he heard a noise somewhere. He went out the door to have a look and come back. It was gone. Couldn't figure out where it was, and it had been moved. I think it was either moved somewhere else in that courtroom, like a level above, or it might be. I think it might be moved to the next courtroom along. So literally, this thing is just moved, which it's hard to believe. Don't get me wrong, it is. But watching it on film, I thought, bloody hell, that's pretty cool. And ever since then I thought, well, I've got to go there and see what we can get. We investigate different after dark. We do investigate very different to any other team, which makes us unique, I believe. We stand out from the crowd for the right reasons, but more importantly, because we have such a love and a passion for this field, and the amount of effort that goes into an editing, the process that goes into it. I think the evidence that we've captured is more substantial, up to the level of Ghost Adventures, because Ghost Adventures, you've got to remember, are paramount level to be at, because they've got the finances and the team to back it up. They might have 30 people working on their team. Here, there's 2. And so if you weigh the differences, I do think the evidence we capture is very substantial to Ghost Adventures level regarding the EVP level, because we keep our EVP recorders running 12 hours. We always have, and I know damn well we always will, because the residual energy that resides in a building, it speaks and does whatever it wants. And if there's an EVP recorder in the right place at the right time, it will pick it up. And residual means what it says in the tin. It reloops and reloops whenever it does that time it's set at, or whenever it wants to. So having an EVP recorder running 12 hours for an investigation, for example, you run no matter what, going to capture it. But that one person has to go through that full 12 hours footage and segment the captures and then add it and entwine it with the footage at that present time. Edits are long-winded, but worth it in the end when you get to the final product. But I do believe we stand out from the crowd, because a lot of paranormal teams now do not record fully EVP for the full location time that they're there, because it's a lot of effort to go back and look through that footage and then match it up with the visual footage they've got on their camera. A lot of teams kind of bypass that and try and go the easy route. Because I've started the hard route as soon as I ever started After Dark, it become the norm. It's like the norm thing to do. So it's not any harder than what I think it should be. Because it's such the norm, it's just a normal thing to do. And I think it's a good way of looking at it, because you know you'll never drop any EVPs. And I do believe EVPs are the easiest thing to capture. I do. For some reason in the back of my mind, I just feel EVPs are always the easiest thing to capture. Especially a residual. What's resounded and incorporated in the walls and the furnishings of the building will always be there. If you're there on the investigation on the right day, the right time, and you've got the EVP recorder in the right place at the right time, constantly recording, the spirits can't escape. In my head, that's how I think it. And it kind of explains why we do capture really good EVPs, and some of them Class A, phenomenal Class A evidence, which you can't beat. So, podcast, first visual podcast, one of many to come. Of course, I'm sat here by myself on this little couch of mine. I've only a small open apartment. I will be getting Brett back on. That's a dead set. He's probably itching to get back on as well, and I'm looking forward to that happening. And also, I need to mention that we do have a dedicated podcast channel now. So we do have the HGC After Dark, which will be based primarily on the episodes of the paranormal when we do go and investigate. And then we've got an independent one, which is exactly the same name as the actual channel. That's on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcast from. It's the same name, After Dark Paranormal Quest. So if you type that in to into YouTube, it will come up with our channel for the podcast, and you will get all these, what I'm doing now and what we're going to be doing, going forward. Now, click on there, subscribe, see what you think. I personally think a podcast visually is totally different to audio. Listening to something is one thing, but when you visually can see the person, makes it a total different thing. And I've always wanted to do it that way. I will be incorporating the studio in the future, but I think once I get used to doing visual, will help, because once the studio is built and done and dusted and all signed on the dotted line, I am more than mentally and physically prepared just to jump straight into the studio, get the equipment ready, and there you go, done and dusted. So that's definitely the route that I want to go down, and I will be going down, because the money that I'm ploughing into it, and I will be ploughing into it, is very substantial. But I'm lucky enough that the passing of my dad has left me some financial backing to be able to incorporate all this in the first place. So, hand on heart, I think it's a wise choice to make, and I am looking forward to going that route. And that's something that I really wanted to venture in for a very long time. But going on to the next thing, I think the main thing in my personal life, which is very, very good, by the way. Next month, make the last ever payment of my motorbike. 3 years. And next month, I'm done and dusted, fully finance free. I can't wait. I'm giddy at the prospect of having this bike finally in my name. The finance company doesn't own it, and I own it outright. And I'm going to sell it. It's getting sold. As soon as it goes in my name, I'm going to renew the MOT, replace the front tyre because that needs doing, and I want to sell it. Once I sell it, I'm going to get my dream bike, because I've always wanted to, and this bike is still on my radar, and it's going to be on my radar until I get it. And this bike means once I get it, it's got that more reliability, and it's going to be able to mean I can venture a lot further from where I'm based now, and I don't have to rely on anyone else, or Brett, for example. I mean, don't get me wrong, if me and Brett are doing it together, we'll be jumping in his car anyway. But I do like my own transport, knowing I've got my own transport to get from A to B. I just don't have to rely on anything else. Excuse me. So that's kind of the route that I really want to go down. But I'm really giddy at the fact that this bike is finally mine. Because you always have in the back of your mind when you want anything on finance, especially whether it's a mortgage or anything you bought on finance, transport, and especially my bike, the finance company always own it. And with the economy as it is nowadays, if your circumstances change, the back of your mind you're thinking, fuck, I could lose everything, because I don't actually own anything. Now I'm in a situation now where I'm finally free of finance, and the main thing I've got in my life is my motorbike, and I'm actually owning it outright. It's a momentous moment for me, very momentous moment for me. Another thing I'd like to mention on this podcast, in this episode, is Scotland has got a dedicated date. The 21st of July, and I will be back probably on the 9th of August. So a good number of days in Scotland, and the Edinburgh Vaults is booked, paid for, done and dusted. So that's one location that I can definitely confirm will be coming up in season 3. There's a few others that I'm just trying to iron out to try and get it right. There's also the question of who I'm going to go with. If the dedicated person that I was going to go with changes their mind or they just don't fancy it, I will do this by myself. I am so far into this now where I believe nothing can stop me. I've even done my own solo investigation at a prolific house, and I did it by myself on a paranormal investigation, bricking it from start to finish, but I did it, and it took a year to get to that stage. I think now the level that we are at now, I just think, nothing's going to stop me now, just do it. There's always that famous saying, don't run before you can walk. I want to run, because when I do trip over, I'll learn from it. And I always say to myself, the famous saying I've mentioned in other episodes, I'm only as strong as my weakest link. And unfortunately, we are now down to 2. So we're only me and Brett now. Michelle has decided to part ways and do her own venture, and I really wish her well. She's been paramount in After Dark starting. She's been paramount in the running of After Dark, and her impressions and ideas on which avenue we should take and how we should portray ourselves as a unit and this, that, the other. She's had her input from start to finish, and I've always incorporated it into After Dark one way, shape or form. She's now decided to go solo and do her own thing, and I'll never hold anyone back from that. It's entirely their choice and their avenue to go down. Saving graces, she was never my weakest link. My weakest link was always Brett. Brett's more than capable and happy enough to stay exactly what he's doing and keep doing what he's doing. He enjoys the field I love and enjoy myself, and he knows there's more out there, more questions, more answers to be gained, more locations to go to. And he enjoys the location just as much as me. And when we do go on investigations together, just me and him, that banter we have between ourselves as a unit and a team speaks volumes. Because when you go to a location, in my head, if you can relax enough at that location to a stage where you know that you could potentially capture something phenomenal on camera or on EVP, but you're with the person that you really want to be with at that location, everything else seems to fall in place. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And every time I go on a location with it, I feel more relaxed, and it just fits really well. He is very professional in what he wants to do and how he wants to portray. At the end of the day, he's portraying the logo on his chest, and he's very proud of what he started as well as what I've started with After Dark. So I wouldn't want to change it in any way, shape or form, and having him on the team still, it's just brilliant. And I've spoke to him one-on-one, and we've decided that I personally wanted to get a third party in, a female medium, to give an extra avenue and orchestrate an extra angle to the paranormal. He wasn't too sure, and when he explained why, it kind of made sense. So we're going to hold back, and we're going to go forward with season 2, just me and Brett, and see how it goes, and see what happens. We know it's going to go well. We pray it's going to go well. We can't think of anything that's going to go wrong, to be honest with you. But the one thing that really, really hurts is the thing that Michelle said, is that we would not be where we are without her. We will falter, we will fail, we won't go any further, we will stumble, so to speak. And words like that make me think, oh no. That alone pushes the determination from there to there. I'm already determined in general, but I always find when someone puts us down as a unit or puts us down as a team, maybe not the way to put us down, but just doesn't have the same thoughts and feelings that when people say things like that, what I'm trying to say is it just gives me the urge to push forward even harder, and not just to prove them wrong. It's not just that. It's more to the fact that me and Brett know we can be what we want to be. Everything's in our catchment, in our hands. We will be what we want us to be. We will be at the level that we want to be at. And it all takes hard work, pure determination, and wanting to do well and succeed. We both have a fucking fantastic passion for the field. So just keep doing what we do and just do it well. So yeah, we are down now to 2. In all fairness, it's not the end of the world. It never will be. It will never stumble what After Dark are about. Yes, she's got it in her head that we relied on her very much so, and that's entirely up to her. We involved Michelle just as much as I involved me and Brett in everything regarding After Dark. And any ideas or any thoughts, she was always incorporated. So for someone to get a bit annoyed and then they say that pretty much was a big knife to the heart and kind of showed the kind of colours of a certain individual. But hand on heart, lovely woman. She knows what she does. And she does it well. Very nice and pleasant person to know. Close friends still, and hopefully we'll still be friends. And hopefully she might pop on now and then and as an independent unit. We don't know. I can't really second guess it. But life in general is a learning curve, and no matter what you want to do in life or what you want to succeed and what path you want to take, you will always have the speed bumps, the split roads, the junctions, the different choices and the different avenues you can go down. But I do believe, hand on heart, that you'll always career off and then come straight back on to the path that you're designated for. And because we've lost Michelle, doesn't mean we're going to lose After Dark. After Dark has got so many avenues that we want to still push down. So many ideas that we're still bubbling up with and orchestrating behind closed doors. So if anything, it's made us stronger. And I can safely say that, hand on heart. We do what we do not just for ourselves. We know there is life after death. We know when you die, your energy just doesn't disappear. Your life does go on in one way, shape or form. We are here to document that. Document the spirit's individual story, individual life, individual circumstances, different locations, different towns, different cities, different countries. We are here to document absolutely everything, edit it and portray it to you, the general public, and then leave it for you guys to decipher what you want and what you don't want to believe. That is our principle, and it always will be our principle and our main goal. And behind closed doors, things chop and change, but the principle is always going to be set there in stone. We enjoy what we do, we always will, and nothing will change that. So going forward, if anything, it's definitely made us stronger. So I had to make everyone aware that she might not be on a challenge much as what people might think she should be, and this is the reason why. So I've mentioned that. So there we go. One thing I have noticed, and I've written it down here because I have little bullet points here. I have noticed, with me being in the paranormal field, I do follow a lot of teams and paranormal teams in general on YouTube. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just reel all the names off that I follow, but there's a fair number of them. Some big, some small. But what I've noticed, I would like to say recently, but I think it's been going on, been going on for a while, but I've not really cottoned onto it. That they're all copying each other. They're all doing the same thing. So if one team does one thing, get good results, regarding, I don't know, views, hours, I don't know, whatever they look at, then the other team will do it, and the next thing they'll collab and do something together as a team, and very much a residual kind of paranormal investigation, if that makes total sense to you. They're doing the same thing as each other. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got one person that follows every single team, you're watching the same thing from all different paranormal avenues, and the evidence is not anything different. So can you imagine what the general public are having to go through? Why are they not finding locations like we have done for the last 12 months or 15 months that are totally off the beaten track? Look at Ghost Adventures, they've done home calls off the beaten track, and look at the evidence they've captured. I'm not too sure what's going on with it. Are they running out of... I've got to remember one main fact is that these teams that I do follow have been running for over 6 years, some of them over 8 years. They've been running for a long time, some of them got 400 episodes. So I can only imagine they are running out of locations and running out of ideas, which does kind of happen in any field that you look into, whether it's vlogging or vlogging your life or other paranormal. So you will come across that issue. Is that the issue they're going through? I don't know. To me, it's boring. It is really boring. I'd rather flick on a location that no team have been to or very few have been to, and do an episode and do an investigation there, and then they see what evidence you get. Now, going forward, we have done that for the last year and 5 months after dark. We have, but we're also going to vibrant locations that are renowned for their activity, like Gainsborough Prison, like Accrington Courts and Prison, like Aniston's Funeral Parlour. You know, stuff that a lot of other teams have already been to. But the reason why we want to dip our foot into that kind of category of location is pure to the fact that we investigate totally different to any other team out there, that what we believe. So we believe the evidence that we capture is going to be totally different to them anyway. And fingers crossed, more substantial. So there's that aspect that we're looking at, and when I look on YouTube and I'm stumbling across the teams that I follow, and they'll go to one location, I'll stumble on the other team, and then they've gone to the same location the week after, and then I think, oh, they've been there, I've done that, I'll flick across to the next team, and they do exactly the same thing, they go to the same location. I think, what is the point? It feels like paranormal teams that I've been following, maybe general, I don't know if it's just all round, are following what they think does well, following suit. They don't want to stand out from the crowd because they think that if they do that, they're going to do worse than what maybe they're doing now, I don't know, or stand up for the wrong reasons. I can understand why they might think that, because they've spent a lot of years building their channels to their level that they're at now. But I can't also understand it either, because I personally think if I was a viewer, which I am, I would like to have the uniqueness and go down the route of having a channel that's different, trying different things. I personally think the President channel that's setting the President level is exploring the fighters. Follow them on YouTube, they are really good. He is really good at what he does, and I believe all the other teams seem to watch him and follow him. Him in general, I think his name's Dan, I might be wrong, but I think it is. Him in general has really high view rates on every video. He has really high subscription rate on his channel. And I think other teams are looking at that, and as soon as he does something, they're following it. Now, not wrong with that. There isn't anything wrong with that, but where's the uniqueness then? Yes, there's a certain amount of uniqueness where they might go to the same location and pick up different evidence. There is that possibility. But the main possibility is, at the end of the day, you're still doing the same location. So the public that are watching your locations might be already have seen this location again through watching it again with another paranormal team. A lot of people do follow other different paranormal teams. It gives them a broad aspect of what the paranormal's got to offer. So, in my eyes, being unique makes you stand out from the crowd. And I'm glad we do stand out from the crowd. We do. In our certain ways, we do. We're running seasons. The location we've been to, not a lot of teams have been there, and a few of them have incorporated and done. A lot of teams have been there, so we try and mix and match. Season 2, I've already edited and sorted out 2 episodes. They're done and dusted. Evidence is really good, by the way. We're going to our 3rd one, which will be Accrington, and then we've got another 3 to 4 locations that we need to sort out and get done and dusted and finalised between me and Brett, between now and when we're due to go live, which I believe is June the 1st. So there's a lot of work ahead, but we're still very much looking forward to it. But you just got to remember, the paranormal it's a field that you're never going to get dedicated 110% proof. There's always going to be the fine line of what's right and what's wrong, what's real and what's fake. There's a lot of teams out there that do fake it and put a bad blemish on the whole paranormal field. And there's a lot of teams out there that do the opposite and put a really good blemish on the actual field. Ghost Adventures being one of them. Taps being another. Fantastic. And you're going to get that, and then I personally think, when I've, like, for example, I've looked at the Ghost Adventures now on this home visit, the home call episodes, the motion lights they've been using. We use motion balls. I am now going to incorporate motion lights as well. I think it's just a wise thing to do because it gives the spirit in the property a different avenue at that present time to communicate. Each individual spirit has its own capabilities, its own strengths, its own weaknesses. Not all can make a REM pod go off or speak via an EVP or make a motion ball go off. It does take a certain amount of strong energy to do that. Some find the easy routes doing other things. So if you have all aspects available, I believe it'll help dramatically with the evidence captured. So that's another avenue that I'm definitely want to look down and go down. But it's just one of those, isn't it? You got to try and be unique and be different. And I personally think the presenters that make it different. But I think going forward, I'm looking forward to season 2. I really am. After Dark got so much more to offer. And it's such a... How can I put this? It's such a hard field to crack in general. But I feel if you're unique in what you do, and you have such a passion and love for it, and you're not wanting to fake anything, shape or form, because you know and you realise that you're not just faking it for the people that are watching, you're faking it for yourself. What is the fucking point? That alone makes season 2 very enjoyable and very much a good thing to look forward to. I can't wait, personally. Really can't wait. So we have got a couple of questions sent in. Now, I've wrote them down because my memory is absolutely shocking. It really is. There's 3 questions in total. There was actually more than 3, but I've grabbed 3 because I know what I'm like when I get on this podcast. Oop, tap the mic. I know what I'm like when I get on here. I end up talking about this, that and everything. Which is another thing that I'm going to come onto at the end of this episode of maybe a different avenue that I might look down. But I do want your guys' feedback regarding it before I commit, because at the end of the day I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing it for every one of you guys as well. So the first question I got was from Pete. So Pete is from Crewe in the UK, so thanks Pete for this question. He put, can you explain the full procedure from location to then the episode? Ooh, rightio. I don't think we've had this question yet. We haven't had this question yet. Full explanation. So first of all, I have a couple of apps that I follow suit regarding locations, but they don't prevail as much like you think they would. The thing that really prevails regarding locations is the mega and so decent Urban Explorers. They are absolutely phenomenal at what they do. Urban Explorer, if you're not too sure of what they are, it kind of gives it away in the name. Go to all the locations that are near enough crumbling or that close to disappearing, and they document these locations, these properties, the area, the land, everything in between. And what they do it really well, because as soon as these buildings finally do fall down or they get bulldozed by the government and something else built on top, these Urban Explorers document the last known moments of these locations and put it on the internet for everyone to see. And I find them fantastic to watch. These guys are legends, and what they'll do, if I see a location they've been to and I think that looks really, really good, I will contact them individually and say, look, I know you don't give out locations, it's one of those things you don't do, but well, from the paranormal background, I'm pretty much, could you give us the pin for this location and see what we can get? I will tell you now, 9 times out of 10, they will look into me, to my profile, see what I'm about, look into what we provide, so they'll look into me YouTube and stuff like that. As soon as they're happy, they'll message back straight and say, yeah, God, yeah, of course. Because they know we're there for that reason alone and nothing else. So urban explorers are very much the big people in between them and the paranormal, or them and us, the paranormal, to get in locations. But I do follow a few apps. So basically, we find the locations. We then contact the urban explorers to see if they've been there already, and they will get back to us and say if it's accessible, if it's not, if it's worth a visit, if it's in a good state, a safe state, which you have to really, really remember, because you got to remember you're going in these properties that could be over 100, well, some of them are over 100 years old, and some of them not been, no one's lived there for over 60 years, for example. So the state of the buildings are very dangerous, some of them. So we'll go that route first. So we'll get the location, contact the urban explorers, see if they've been there, research it that way, and just see if we can find as much as we can about the location itself. We then check on the map if it's something that's drivable. So if it takes 15 hours to get there and 15 hours to get back, we'll be like, nah. Well, not 15 hours, 5 hours, for example. But if it's something that's a couple of hours away, we know we can do it in one night, takes another green box. And then the third one is, what other paranormal activity is ever being captured there, if any? Now, I'll look into this for my pure being nosy. So, I've looked at locations before, we've been to locations before, like the care home. And I did it, the care home we've got on our channel, I did it 3 times. But I looked into that and no other team's been there. So I looked into that thinking that any paranormal team will have been there, see what they captured. I couldn't find anything on it, but we've been there and I've captured the best ever paranormal evidence I've ever captured today at that one building, that one place. But I still do it in general at every location to see what other people have captured. It gives me an idea of what I'm walking into. So we do that. We then sort out a date and a time for me and Brett. Used to be me and Michelle. All 3 of us together, for example. But now it'll be me and Brett. To go down there as a duo to see if we can investigate it. Now, because we haven't got Michelle on the team anymore, I will be doing a lot more solos. So if Brett can't get to it, and I know I can do it, and I've got a few days in between, I'll do it myself. I'll do it a solo by myself. So that's another avenue we'll be looking down and we'll be doing. So we'll do that on an investigation, talk amongst ourselves, get the date side, and we'll travel down. Sort out the finances. So when he travels down, for example, we'll travel down in a car, we'll sort out fuel price, so we'll club together and half the fuel completely in half. Everyone knows the amount of levy that the government have put on the fuel price nowadays, so it's a wise thing to do when you're travelling in such a long location. So we'll do that. And we'll travel down there and have a good natter between ourselves while we're going down. We get to the location and we investigate. Now, when we do an investigation, we do, I would hand on heart, wing it. There's no procedure to any investigation with us. We'll go there, we'll have a walk around, and that's pretty much to give us an idea of what we're working with. If we need to get out of the location very quickly, or something goes drastically wrong, then we need to look around the full location to give us a scope and an idea of what we're working with. So we'll always do that, but then we'll do the investigation. The only principle that we've got that we'll always stick by, and this is me speaking hand on heart, is as soon as I say to Brett or back in the day Michelle, right, let's go, that EVP recorder is clicked on record, and it's kept on record. Even when moving from room to room to room, that EVP recorder has travelled with us. Sometimes we've even left it in the same room we've started off with and gone in a different part of the property and done an investigation, and then I've listened back and you can clearly hear 2 people speaking and they're definitely not our voices. So that's pretty much a principle that we do. EVP recorder is clicked on and left on pure record. Now going forward, we didn't do this before, but we will be doing it now. We'll have a lot more locked off cameras. I'm realising that if you're having a locked off EVP recorder, you will capture the residual energy, the residual voices that relap and reloop. I'm also inclined to believe now that literally we need to have locked off cameras as well, because if you can have residual voices, you may have residual movements, residual energy balls, residual anything. Poltergeist activity, you name it, it could be something that could be captured on a locked off camera. So going forward, season 2 and onward, there will be a lot more locked off cameras and an extra EVP recorder added just to cover every aspect that we can. Because if there's any paranormal activity that can be gained at a location, we do not want to miss it. We're only going to be there once, maybe twice. We don't want to miss it. It's pointless. Get as much technology as you can in there to cover as much angles as you can. The only problem that creates is editing the fucker. Now, I'm editing now between 8 and 12 hours, which is good for an episode. It takes between 8 and 12 hours to do. But when I first started, it was well over that. But when you add different camera angles, different EVP, you got more than one EVP recorder, this, that, the other, it just creates a lot more editing. So the editing's going to be a lot longer and a lot more in detailed. But I'm learning. So the harder it is to do, the more I learn. And the more harder it is, the more I want to do it. To be honest with you, I don't want it to be easy. If it's easy, I get bored. If it's more challenging, if it's more challenging, I seem to want to do more better at it. So that's definitely an avenue we're definitely looking at. So when we go to a location, pretty much we'll do the investigation, the EVP recorder is clicked on, done, dusted, and we'll do the investigation. The thing is that I do find really good on an investigation is the person that you're with. If you can relax to a certain extent and chill out, be relaxed in the atmosphere that you're in and just let things roll, I find you get a lot more paranormal activity happening than if you're on tender hooks. Now, it's good to be nervous on an investigation. That's something that you can't control, and I still do it now to this day. And I think I'd stop investigating if I did actually stop getting nervous, because that's a buzz that I get from a location. That nerves is the buzz that you really want to feel. And plus the increased heart rate, a spirit can feed off that. So in all fairness, that's something I don't want it to disappear on any investigation. But the person that you are working with and investigating with, if you fully trust them and know what they're like as a person, an individual, it makes the investigation a hell of a lot better to do and a lot more easier to edit. So remember that if you ever start an investigation team, look at the team that you're working with. They're just as important as the equipment that you use and the locations that you go to. It makes life a lot easier for yourself, and it makes the job a lot more fulfilling. I say job, it's not a job. The hobby, a lot more fulfilling. So hopefully, although of course then you go down and you edit it. So hopefully, Pete, that's answered your question. Again, thank you very much for sending that in. We got another one from Claire. She's from Belfast. And she put, what are some of your favourite memories when recording for After Dark? The most simplest of questions catch me out. Especially when you've only wrote them like 5 minutes before you actually do the recording of what I'm doing now. So, memories, favourite. I think the most favourite, there's a few, of course. One of them that stands out to mind is the shadow figure that finally showed itself, which was Raymond in the old care home that I went to. When he finally showed himself in the bedroom, it was a fantastic memory. But then to go back the following time on the third visit, and then for him to walk in front of my camera and show himself as a shadow again, made it very more memorable in my eyes, and very good capture in general. I think the main thing that really jumps out is when we was downstairs, me and Michelle, in the front room of the same property, the same care home, and it came through on the necrophonic app that we use religiously and have done from the start of this whole thing. And it came through, Winston, the police are here, in a female's voice. Fortunately, me and Michelle didn't pick this up in real time, but when I came to edit, I realised, bloody hell, you can hear it clear as day. And then all of a sudden, 10, maybe 15 seconds later, we see torchlight in the window, and it's the police. So it makes it more substantial when a piece of technology like that is sat there in the investigation with you, and it bloody helps because it worked really well to hear a clear tone of a clear voice, but more importantly, of something that's going to happen 15 seconds in the future. So if they've seen them at the gate and they've seen them walk through, and the spirits have talked amongst themselves, and this app Necrophonic has picked it up, it was fantastic capture, and probably one of the best captures of evidence to After Dark that we've captured at the present day. They're the main things that stand out for me. Getting Rachel whisper in my ear of the old orphanage that's in Hull. De Grey Street. If you're not too sure about De Grey Street, that was a big, massive children's hospital that was used during the wars. I don't know if you know, I'm from Hull, Yorkshire, and Hull was hit massively in the war, especially World War One. The Germans literally bombed the whole lot out of Hull. Because any bombs that weren't used on their aircrafts to save fuel travelling over the waters to go back to Germany, they dropped over Hull to get rid of the weight, and Hull was demolished, not fully but near enough. And because of this, a lot of children lost their mums and their dads and their family members, and so they had to be cared for and put somewhere to be safe. And they was put in this De Grey Street, the children's orphanage, and we investigated there. When we investigated there was a known covered story of a girl called Rachel that went there back when this was an orphanage, and when this was a running orphanage, John was the guy that was a guy that actually ran the orphanage when it was running. And when Rachel came in, he took a fancy to this young girl. She was only young. Never do that again. She was only young. Ah, bear me a second. I'm gonna jump this on a rug. Well, hi, folks. So she was only young. She was 12. I think 12, 13, something like that. And he raped her, this John who ran this orphanage, and impregnated her, and she fell pregnant. And it got to about 4 to 5, maybe 6 months before she really started showing, where he thought, Jesus, I'm in trouble here. She's going to show that she's pregnant, and everything's going to come out, and I don't know what to do. So he shot himself, and he killed her, unfortunately. And he killed her and the child that was inside her, and he buried her in the chimney breast in the main bedroom of De Grey Street. Now, excuse me, this is a reported history of the actual property location. So, of course, when we did our first investigation, it was De Grey Street, the orphanage that we went to. And we went to that main bedroom that this Rachel was potentially buried in the chimney breast. And to this day, unfortunately, because we're so green behind the ears and so new to the field, we made a lot of mistakes. And I never forget the time when I asked the question, Rachel, if you're here, can you tell me that you are here so we can hear you, so we know that we're talking to you, because we know your story, we want to know more about it. And that's when it came to me, yes, my name's Rachel. And I'm like, what? And it made me jump out my skin. It's like a girl just stood talking to me. While this was capturing my ear, we had all our cameras rolling. I made an EVP recording table at the time. But because Brett had put an app on, which is like a spirit box app, and it flicks through the FM, AM frequency of the radio to try and pick up spiritual voices, that was in the background, and it was way too loud, which meant it drowned out the voice that was picked up on the EVP machine to my ear. Now I can clearly hear it. I can hear it, and I tried editing it in a way where other people can hear it, but you can over edit an EVP, and it got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I thought, I'm just going to have to let this one drop, because I can clearly hear it, but to edit it where other people can hear it, it's not going to work. So that was definitely a moment, and definitely a favourite moment of everything. The other moment, I believe, was getting in contact with Amanda Reefer. Now, I've been doing After Dark now for a year and 5 months, 6 months. Now, what makes After Dark very unique, I believe, and what we do is the way we edit, how we edit, but more importantly, what music we have on the episodes. Now, I stumbled across a song by a famous singer. She's still famous now. She's just signed a new record label with Republic, and she was with Sony at the time, and I stumbled across a song called Haunt Me. Stumbled across it on YouTube, and I liked it that much. I was like, I've got to have this song. Now, everyone who knows YouTube, you cannot have copyright music, because they will penalise you every way, shape and form. And if you get enough strikes on your account, they can shut your account down. It's not worth the hassle. It really isn't. So I had to do it the right route. So I contacted Amanda Reefer directly, and then I contacted her production team, Sony, directly. And to my shock and absolute, I just couldn't believe it, Amanda Reefer replied first. and I contacted her through Instagram. And pretty much my message to her was, look, I love this song, Haunt Me. It fits everything that I want in a music track for the content that I'm providing. Can I use your track? And she replied back probably a week later saying, I can't give permission personally because I don't own it. My record label does, Sony. But I've passed your information on to Sony. They will be in contact with you. So I read that. I was like, ooh, wow, I couldn't believe it. She was in a band called Cover Drive. If you ever check Cover Drive, they sang a famous song called Twilight. It was at #1 for ages. So she's the female singer of that. So as soon as she replied that, I read it and I was like, wow, giddy as hell. And see what happens. And literally about 2 weeks later, I got a reply from Sony saying, we've spoken to Amanda, she's more than happy to go ahead. We give you permission to use her 2019, 2020 album, any track you want. We've sent you information to YouTube, so when you do come to use our tracks, it won't be flagged up. So I was like, brilliant. I replied back saying, brilliant, fantastic news. I'm interested in just the one track, which is Haunt Me. Can I use that? I'm going to be using that only. Thank you for very much replying, kind of email. And it was done dusted. So I edited my first video with that track added to it. I wish I could remember which video episode it was, but I can't off the top of my head. Oh, can I? I can't remember. I edited my first video and I put that track on my intro, and that was a moment for me. I've contacted an A-list celebrity, an A-list singer. Cover Drive were around for a couple of years. They were very much a substantial band. The band is now separated and ceased to exist, but she's now still singing. She always has been singing, and now she's just re-signed for Republic. And for her to contact me independently and say, yeah, God, yeah, I'm happy for you to use my tracks. And then Sony, which she was with at the time, contact me. It's even better. Fortunately, I couldn't use the track after that. I used it for about 3-4 months, but then Amanda signed from Sony to Republic, which means the agreement changes. Republic now own all copyright of all her music. So that's to go through the whole rigmarole of hassle of doing it all over again, and I just really couldn't be bothered. But I'd got 3 to 4 months out of using that track, and that was good enough for me. It really was. And it got to this point in After Dark where we was going to create a new intro anyway with new backing music. So I ended up approaching, oh man, with nothing music now. Oh god, this racks my brain. I keep thinking Universal, but it's not. I'm with another company. Can't remember. I've mentioned it before, a previous episode. Home with for music. Oh man, with for music. Anyway, I pay for this external music source. Who are they? I can't remember. Anyway, so we've gone down a different route regarding music, and we've gone with an external company, and we've got a hellishly big catalogue of music we can use, which is all copyright free. So we have no issues regarding YouTube and copyright issues going forward, so that's why I went with them. I can't remember the name of the company, it's gone off the top of my head, but we've gone with that. So we've got 3 to 4 months out of Amanda's music, and it's fantastic. I loved it. I love that track. It fits so well with what we was doing and what we are still doing. And if I do find another track that's because she's still singing that I'm really interested in, I'll just contact her again and we'll go for the whole rigmarole again. But at the end of the day, when an external celebrity artist is more than happy to help you in the quest that you've got, no matter if she believes in the paranormal or not, it just makes it really touching to the heart. So that was definitely another memorable moment, I think, in my personal opinion regarding After Dark. But again, Claire, thank you very much for that question, and hopefully I've answered it the best that I could do. And that, yeah, they're my moments. Hopefully more to come. Well, there will be more to come. We've got another one from Amelia. She's from Yorkshire, but she didn't say where she was in Yorkshire, because I'm from Yorkshire myself. What is it really like being a paranormal investigator? What are your ups and are your downs? Got an itchy eye. Paranormal investigators, well, first of all, it's phenomenal being a paranormal investigator. Okay, it's such a passion of mine, which I've clearly mentioned in the previous episodes and clearly mentioned on this one. Ups and downs, you will get them all the time. Anything you choose, you will get ups and downs. But I believe it's how you deal with the ups and downs that make you substantial to the field that you want to achieve well in and want to do well in and enjoy doing. So our downs, I would say, as a unit, are people coming and going, getting false commitments from relevant people that work alongside us. I say false commitments, it's a very hellish way of saying it. I would say more false commitments. Fuck it, yeah, false commitments that people say a lot. I'm going to be really good for After Dark, everything's going to work really well, and all of a sudden it changes. But in all fairness, though, everyone's got their own goals and they've got their own targets in life and what they want to do and succeed and do well in. I'll never hold anyone back from that. So you'll get that's a down for us. You can't rely on your personnel that you work with. You have to pre-plan that. Downs, I would say, the hate that you get in this field, because everybody doesn't believe in it, doesn't necessarily mean you have to get hate for it. But I know how social media really works. I like to think so anyway. I'm not a big fan of social media in general. I use social media, which I've mentioned in previous episodes, for pure to the fact of what we're doing at After Dark and what we're doing with the podcast. Anything personal stays away, because social media can cripple a person to their knees. And I've said in previous episodes, as soon as the government get a control of it, maybe I might start entwining my life back onto it. But social media has its demons, and it really does. And if you're not strong enough to control that, it will eat away at you and chip away at you in any way, shape or form that it feel like it can do. And if you're not strong enough to understand that, it will bring depression, bring anxiety, it'll bring anything it wants to you. And that's why I hate fucking social media. I always will, but I know it makes the world go around. So pretty much downs are social media to a certain extent. The hate that comes along with the field that you blatantly love, if someone doesn't believe, they will let you know that in any way, shape or form. Fortunately enough, I've not had the hate in this field that I'm in now, from people that don't believe. Not yet. Yet. But I have had the hate regarding why we do it. What do you achieve? What really do you think you can achieve? What are your goals? Why are they your goals? I just put them down to questions. Someone asks me that and they say it in a patronising way. I just rephrase it to a question. A nice question. There's always goals. There's always something that we will succeed and want to achieve in what we do. And that's it. Just let it go for there and just out of there. I always found the hate that you get is for a main reason maybe two reasons. Pure jealousy, because you've actually got off your ass and wanted to do something and do well in it. Or bully. They're just a bully. Just like to bully people. If they don't agree with it, then they'll just bully you and that makes them feel better. To this day I'll never understand it, and it goes on every single day. And it's not just us that get bullied, it's everyone, any kind of field now that gets bullied. If that relevant person doesn't believe what they do or how they do it, they will get bullied in their own way. It's just the way the world works, apparently. I always feel deep in my heart that a bully wants a reaction, because that's what they fulfill. Just don't give them it. If you don't give them a reaction, you're not going to get anything back from it. They feed off that. Bully's one thing only, and that thing is they want to bring them down to their own level. Don't let it happen. That's what I said. Just don't let it happen. Let it go for there and out of there, and just think you're not worth it. That's what I think anyway. Fortunately enough, like I said, I've not gone through, or we haven't gone through as a unit of the bullying scenario as yet. But it probably will happen, but I'm more than prepared for it. And this is the reason why I do podcasts, because it's good to speak, really good to speak. Speaking of the podcast, I do understand this podcast is very much a confusing kind of kettle of fish. It is a paranormal podcast, as it says in the name. But 9 times out of 10 when I do the actual episodes, I'd say 90% of it is something else and then 10% is the paranormal. Are you happy it being this way? Do you want it to keep going like this? Or do you think it'd be more wise to rebrand it and just push it away from the paranormal and just have a podcast on general life? Because I love to speak. Whether it's sense, I don't know, but I like to talk a lot. I have a lot of emotions that go on, a lot of past that I've had, and a lot of crap I've gone through. But I do find males in general like to keep the cards close to the chest, and I think that males need to speak out a bit more about what they really go through. Women are more than happy to go through and explain what they go through on a day-to-day basis, whether it's depression, anxiety, issues, problems, thoughts, this, that, the other. Males should do the same, but there's something that is in the air that a male is either not allowed to do it, or the male individual feels that they should not be doing it. And I want to change that. I really want to change that. If you've got an issue as a male, just speak out. Really speak out. Because the best thing I found in all my life problems is the more I spoke about it, the more easy it became. And I always say my famous saying, time is your best friend. It always will be. It never disappears. It's always there. It will always help you. If you give time what it wants, which is time, it will give you it back. And every issue I've ever had in life, time has always been its essence and always helped me out. But talking is the main thing that collabs with time. Talk about your issues. Don't let them bottle up, because it just eats away from the inside out, and next thing you know you will explode. So to talk about your problems. I love this podcast because I can talk. I can portray what I want and what I feel and what I love and enjoy. And I can also talk about life in general, what's going on in this fucked up world, which we all know and live amongst. The podcast in general, in my eyes and head, is a good way to release. And if I can help one individual, or just make that one individual make the right choice at the right time, then that alone gives me total satisfaction and fulfillment on what we want to bring here and what I want to do here. So there is an option of rebranding the podcast completely. Personally, in my head, I'd rather keep it the way it is now, because I love to entwine my paranormal with my personal life, and that's why the podcast comes in. They both marry up together. But there's also an option of rebranding and have the podcast as a general independent thing, completely from the paranormal. What do you guys think? What are your ideas on it, really? Because I'm 50-50 either way. I'm not too sure which way to swing it, but it's an option that's there pretty much for an avenue for us to literally go down. But this is been a pleasure finally to be on video and not just on the mic. I will be still uploading, of course, this as an audio format on Spotify and Google and Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast, it will be on there. But it will also be visual on our YouTube channel. And going forward, the new channel will be pure to the podcast alone, which is after that paranormal quest. So if you could click on that on YouTube, search for it, click on it, subscribe. It means the world to us and helps us going forward. Now, before I let anyone go, because I know I've been drabbing on for a hell of a long while, as per usual, I ordered a sample of excuse me, keep burping. I've ordered a sample of our merchandise, and I've ordered it for a reason. 1 second, I'll grab it. Now, I've ordered this for a reason. See exactly what I thought of it. Now, it comes in white, this, but I've now changed it so you can have it in any colour you want. It has the HDC. Everything seems to fall over. It has the HDC logo here, and of course it has the SLS figure here, and it says anomaly detected, and the same at the bottom. And it's literally a SLS figure. I love it. That alone I loved. I bought this to pretty much see what the print was like and see what the quality was like, and I'm not kidding you now. It's absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with this at all. The print is really, really good, and that's on the front. And on the back, you've actually got an After Dark Production Limited, which is the company that we are, and all the few socials that we run on. There will be a few more, which I don't know if I'm going to add to them, I don't know, but either way, that's what I want at the moment. And the print is fantastic. Now, it's in white. Yes, I know it's not the best colour for Paranormal, especially if you're in a dirty atmosphere, but it made the logo stand out. But I have gone on to the store and I've edited it where you can get different colours for whatever colour you pretty much want to see. Personally, I think the actual quality of the material and the actual look and the print is absolutely fantastic, and I think for the money, I think you really, really can't go wrong. So this is on our store. We do have another hoodie on the store where it doesn't have the SLS figure, but it does have the logo, and I believe it might have the After Dark on the back. I'm not too sure, and that's in different colours as well. Flick on the store, check it out, see what you think. At the end of the day, every penny that you put into After Dark by buying our merchandise goes straight back into After Dark, and it just helps with locations, tech, the podcast. It just helps us going forward. But the merchandise is really good quality, very long lasting, and I had to see it for myself before I can commit to you guys and say it's really good, because if I don't know what it's like, then why would I commit myself for it going forward? But I believe it's really, really, really good. There's a various of different items on there. If you go on our YouTube and click in the About section on the YouTube channel, the merch link is in there. Click on the merch link and it'll pull up the store. Or flick on HGC After Dark and put that in Facebook, and it'll pull up our page, and again it'll pull up our store. Have a look through that way. There's various different avenues. And we can also now go on Instagram, our Instagram channel, HGC After Dark, and our store, it'll be incorporated on there as well. So there's different avenues to look at and see what you think. But personally, I think it's absolutely fantastic, the quality of it, and again, it just shows commitment from you guys and what we do and what we provide, and it helps, very much helps what we're doing here as well. So keep sending your emails in. Please keep sending your questions in. Every one of them gets read, one way, shape or form. And any stories, anything you think that we could do to improve, or anything, shape or form, just send it in to us. I do not mind anywhere at all. This will be a visual podcast going forward from now on in. It will be in my apartment for a period of time until the studio side. Then it will be progressed in there. But again, Pete, Claire and Amelia, thank you very much for your questions. I really appreciate you taking the time and sending them in, and I hope the answers that I gave were substantial enough for what you've asked. So I really do hope that. And this has been episode 13, and this has been my first visual podcast, not the last. And you've been listening to myself, Dave, and this is After Dark Paranormal Quest. Thank you very much for tuning in. And again, we will be talking again next week, next Sunday. Bye.